Yes, guys. City advance in the FA Cup. City play in the Premier League tomorrow. Big time to be a City fan, of course. I'm here to recap what happened on Sunday, as well as look at a little preview for tomorrow's game, Premier League against Leicester City, as well as talk about some transfers that have been rumored on Twitter, online. Some of them a little better sources than others, some of them not as quite as good. But I like to look at all the sources and just talk about them, see if it's something that maybe there's some truth in it, and maybe it is something we could do. You never know. You never know. So anyway, let's talk about Bournemouth and the FA Cup. City do advance. We're in the semis. We're going to Wembley. So let me pull up the game here so we can take a look and have a quick talk about it. Of course, we fall behind 1-0. 21st minute, Evan Nilsson scores on the Mateus Nunes major error where he tries this crazy crossfield ball with his left foot and it doesn't get anywhere. Intercepted by Bournemouth. They go down. Make a nice play. David Brooks cross the ball across the box, back across the other way, and it's tapped in by Evan Nilsson to make Bournemouth go 1-0 up. Now, that followed a couple chances City had in the first half before their goal. We get a penalty created by the Tyler Adams handball. It's one of those that I don't like is given as handball, but I mean his arm is up kind of like this. He's within a couple feet of a guy and it hits him. So given the rules, it's a handball even if I don't like it. And Holland steps up, saved by the keeper. Really poor pen. I think Holland's missed 3 penalties out of 7 this year. Kind of strange from him. But that's just kind of our season. It's been a strange season, So he misses the penalty. Following that, a couple minutes later, Tyler Adams again makes a mistake. The American plays a ball. I guess he's trying to go to the goalie. I'm not sure what he's trying to do, but he loops a ball over the back of his defensive line. Goalie's nowhere near it. Holland's through on goal. Goalie kind of closes him down and tries to chip him. Goes over the bar. It made me think about Pep's comments earlier. Not a lot of people I've seen talk about it, but they don't like the FA Cup ball. Ball bounces in weird ways, according to these guys, and I don't think there's nothing, behind that. But again, two chances that were created. They were not really created by us per se. So I've seen a lot of people talk about we had such a good first half, such a good second half, great overall performance. I don't really agree with that necessarily. Holland had a header that was created from a Nunes cross. That was the only actual chance that I felt like we created in the first half. They go 1-0 up. It's kind of the dead rest of the first half to me, personally. Second half, different story. Obviously, Bournemouth don't have a single shot on target or on at all. They have no shots. They're completely shut out. And if you look at the ratings, you can see City's ratings all very green, whereas Bournemouth's obviously not quite there. I thought Tyler Adams was really poor. Semenyo was poor. Nobody really stood out for them. They really missed Kirkaz and Hoyson, I think, in their defensive line, as well as they had some other key players out. Inez Unal, former Man City player, he wasn't available. And there was a couple others. I don't remember who else missed. But Holland, I would say, overall, not that great of a game. Kind of been that way all season. He does get injured, which is the other story of the game. It's seemingly an ankle problem where he gets kind of caught underneath the Bournemouth player. There are varying reports on how bad the injury is. Some people say he will be out for the rest of the season. Some people say maybe he's back for the Club World Cup. And some say he might be out until next Premier League season. So, who has any idea? No one knows. He's getting tests, apparently. But if you remember, Rodri was hurt. The reports were initially ACL, and then Man City were like, actually, we're going to go get some tests, and it ended up being ACL. So, for me, my guess is he's probably out for the rest of the Premier League season, which is sad, but it's bound to happen. That's one thing I said on Twitter. We ham this guy out, he's going to get injured. Same thing with Vardiol. We ham him out and don't rotate, he's going to get injured. That's just the way it is with how many games we have and how intense they are for these players. So, unfortunate, but Holland's injured and we move. We did have some nice appearances off the bench, of course. Nico O'Reilly, man of the match, subbed at halftime. Pep makes a great sub. I wish he would have started from the jump, but he, realized it wasn't working with. Well, I guess he takes off Kusanov, who I thought was all right, but he didn't want to put him out at right back. Apparently, he was on a yellow, so maybe that's part of the reason he takes him out and not Nunez. Anyway, he takes Kusanov off. Everyone shifts sort of here. Gvardiol gets the minutes at center back, which is something we have not seen a ton of, and you get Nico O'Reilly at left back, kind of doing a little bit different job than Gvardiol. Gvardiol he doesn't exactly bomb up and down the pitch like Nunez does. Nico does it. Gvardiol is more of he gets into this area here where Foden is and Foden can cut inside, but he's not getting all the way up the pitch like Nico did. So Nico comes on, obviously makes a difference, has the 2 assists. Ormuz comes on for Holland after the injury, scores the winning goal. Grealish comes on for 20, 30 minutes or so and does pretty well. There's a lot of Grealish talk on Twitter. Should he start? Should anything change with Grealish's minutes? And I don't know. It's kind of, he was on to kill the game off, and he did that. That's different than starting from the jump and being a guy that we rely on for output now that Holland's not going to be in the team going forward. So I don't know. Grealish is out the door in the summer, so if he leaves or if he doesn't play, it doesn't really make a difference to me personally. I would have loved to see Oscar Bob, but again, no bench appearance for Oscar Bob, unfortunately. Maybe he's still recovering from injury. Maybe there's just not enough spots on the bench for him. I don't know what it is. So hopefully we see Oscar Bob on the bench Wednesday. Remains to be seen. Now, that's basically the recap of the game. We are advancing, of course, to the semis, which is going to be against Nottingham Forest. Should be a good one. And, ideally we win this competition and we get a trophy haul in our worst season in 10 years. So, I don't think that the trophy pastes over the cracks in what has been a pretty putrid season, but it's always better to get a trophy than not get a trophy, of course. So something that we can definitely look forward to, in my opinion. I do think we're the favorites, but there are some good teams left, of course. Villa, Crystal Palace, and Forest. So we shall see. There is some other transfer news that I did want to talk about briefly. Now, I'm not entirely sure how true it is, but there's multiple reports over the last few days that City are planning or considering a big bid for Pedri. Of course, the reports are out of Spain, and they say that Pedri is untouchable, et cetera, so it's exactly what you would, believe. But if all it takes is, a call to see what they want, I don't think it's something City should turn down, personally. If they get any whiff that Pedri is available, I think you go for it. If it's 150, if it's 170, it's not my money. I would love to see Pedri in the Man City shirt. So I did post a TikTok, and a lot of people commented on it and said they wouldn't sell him for even 200. So, maybe that's true, and we don't even need to talk about it. But the report is out there from Barca Universal, which, they post basically everything Barcelona related, 1.3 million followers. So, maybe there's some truth to it, maybe not. Who knows? He would be great KDB replacement, obviously. The other news is Tijani Reinders. They're considering a move for him, according to Team Talk. I've seen multiple people actually say that. Again, here, Football Insider says they'd like to raise funds to sign Tijani Reinders. They would be open to the departures of Kovacic, Bernardo, KDB, etc. Kind of the same names that we always see linked with the exit door. Now, I did want to look at Pedri versus Tijani Reinders, their advanced stats really quick. You see Pedri's not much of a goal threat, I guess, at 28 games, 38 games in La Liga and Champions League and 4 goals. 6 assists is all right, but you do see a lot of the green areas here, especially in terms of a midfielder passing. He is definitely a Pep style player. You see progressive passes, 99th percentile. There's not a lot that you would look at this and think, wow, he doesn't fit the Pep system. Obviously, he's well up there in the stats and the advanced analytics. You see similar players over here on the right. a ton of players that, are linked to City, or players that fans of City want the club to sign. Nicolo Barella, obviously great. Bruno G, Rodrigo De Paul, Enzo Fernandez, Jude Bellingham, Zaire Emery. I mean, the names are great. Of course. Pedri would be a great signing. You don't need to see the stats, but there they are in case you did want to see them. He's only 22 years old, so I mean, he could be one that is around for a decade or longer if they did somehow convince Barca to sell. Now, Tijani Reinders is a little different player. He's different in stature. He's more kind of the Nico O'Reilly build. He's 6'1", he's 26 years old, almost 27, so he's a bit older. Obviously not going to cost as much as Pedri, but a little bit more of a goal scorer. He's got 9 and 29 in Serie A, 3 and 10 in Champions League, 3 assists, which is nice. He's on 75K a week. Obviously, City could up that and make it worth it for him. He's way up there in terms of shots, non-penalty goals, shot-creating actions. And then if you look midfielders-wise, progressive carries, which is something that I think Kovacic does a really good job of. He would be a good Kovacic replacement, obviously. He's a little lower on passes attempted, but that stat, to me, is a little swayed by how much possession you have. Maybe Milan are not as dominant of a possession team as City would be, so not really concerning. To me, progressive passes is up, which, of course, something that all the City fans want and hope for. Not much of a defender, clearly, based on these numbers, but if he's, the 10 and or the attacking 8, whatever you want to say, it's not something that would be majorly expected of him. Players similar, you see Foden, obviously great. Odegaard, great. Julian Brandt, even though he's at Dortmund, I do think he's a very good player. Alex Baena, another one linked to City. And Zielinski, who I actually really rate as well. So that's just my take on Tijani Reinders. I do think he'd be a good signing. Midfielder, can play DM, can get forward. He's kind of that maybe all-around midfielder that we would need, replacing Kova or Gundo, someone like that, depending on who we let go and whatnot. Now, let's look at, going forward, what's going on with City. Again, we play tomorrow, Leicester, midweek game, nice afternoon for me, night game for you guys over in the UK. Unfortunately, there will be no live watch-along. I'll be at work, but of course, I will be watching, as always, on my side screen that I have at work. We will, of course, get a recap out probably the day after or the night of. Depends on some of my schedule and whatnot. This is the projected lineup that Fatma are going with. They have Foden at striker and Marmoush behind. I think that'll probably switch. Doku on the left, Savinho on the right. Gundo and Nico comprise the midfield. Vardiol, Kusanov, Diaz, and Nunez making up the back line. Now, for me, I want to see Nico O'Reilly play. Probably going to have to be left back. And I'd like to see Kusanov at right back. I'm going to build the lineup here in just a moment, but it's probably going to look something similar to this. Leicester have, of course, struggled heavily this season. They're in the relegation zone. I don't think there's much hope for getting out of there, even though they got a new coach and Ruud van Nistelrooy. It seems like all but done that they'll be going back down. And it's definitely a team we should be looking to get 3 points from. It's at home. It's against a bad team. We got to really capitalize on these opportunities and move closer, one step closer to Champions League qualification. You see here, 19th place on 17 points. I mean, they're 12 off of safety. It's just not. It's not happening. They've lost at least 5 games in a row in the Prem while scoring no goals. So, obviously a struggling team, conceding 65 to their 25 scored. Pretty bad. As far as injuries are concerned, let's take a look so we can see here who they have out and who they have us as out. Edouard is out, Pereira is out, Harry Suter out, and Fatawa out. Not sure I've heard of a couple of these players, but for us, of course, Stones, Akanji, Ake, all our 3 senior-most center backs will be out, I would imagine, until the end of the season. There are some reports that maybe they're doing a little better and could potentially come back earlier, but who knows? Remains to be seen. Rodri out for the season, of course. Holland out for quite a while, unfortunately. And then Oscar Bob. I would love to see Oscar Bob get a start. Apparently, he's been playing in the EDS, so people say on Twitter. So I'm not really sure why he's not getting on the bench at least. I always presumed it was a fitness problem, and that's why he wasn't getting on the bench because he wasn't ready. But if people are saying he's not getting on the bench because there's not a bench spot available for him, I don't really understand that because he was our best player in preseason. He was going to probably start right wing for most of the season for us. So I don't really get that, but that's what people are saying. So anyway, I'll pull up the lineup builder now so we can do this together and see what we think. Ederson in goal, of course. Probably leaving in the summer. Seems very likely. I don't know if it's Saudi, somewhere else, but it seems like he's leaving. Anyway, while you're still here, you need to start because you're much better than Ortega for sure. So at the left back position, I think this guy has earned it. Nico O'Reilly deserves a start. I'm throwing him in there. And then I'm going to pair Gvardiol and Kusanov together in the back line. Well, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. Change my mind. I'm going to do Diaz and Gvardiol pairing, and then I'm going to put Kusanov at right back, I think. That's what I think makes sense to me. So we'll do this. Yeah. I think that's the back line that most City fans probably want to see. I think we're tired of seeing Mateus Nunes at right back. The guy's just had too many errors in his game. He's a good crosser of the ball when he gets forward, but I don't know. He's got a bozo in him. I'm not feeling confident in Nunes at right back. And neither am I confident in Rico Lewis in any bit of the pitch, unfortunately. So that's what I would do. I think through the spine, it's pretty easy. I think you go Foden and in sort of this second striker role, and then I think you do Marmoush as the talisman, the top man up front. Get Foden as close to the box as possible so he can, receive the ball, turn and shoot. The other four positions are a little tricky. There's a lot of calls for Jack Grealish. There's calls for Doku Savino pairing. There's Oscar Bob calls. So, you do have those four positions available. Foden, I guess, could start on the wing as well, and then KDB in the 10, but I think KDB probably gets rested here, probably. You never know. But I think for me, I go with, and again, Savino maybe is still out. I know his wife just had a child, so it's possible he doesn't play, I guess. But I think what we do is we go with Doku and Savino. I'm not sure how long typically players are out when they have a child, but I'm just going to assume Savino is back and ready. I think you roll with this attacking four, and then you hit certainly Nico Gonzalez into the team. He's been very good for us in general. Where's he at? There he is. Nico Gonzalez. He's definitely the best of the midfielder options we have. And then you can choose between Bernardo, Kovacic, Gundogan. I thought Gundogan was really good in the game on Sunday. But again, he played on Sunday. Probably not going to play again in 2 days rest. So I'm going to go with Kovacic. I think he is the second best option for midfield that we have. Tired of seeing Bernardo Silva. I'm sure you guys are as well. No Bernardo for me. I know he was all right on Sunday, but let's give the guy a break. Let's let him chill. He's not going to offer anything going forward, and that's what we need. We need to find players who are able to score some goals for us in the absence of Erling Haaland. It's difficult because you can't just like for like any player with Haaland. No one's going to score the amount of goals he does, so you kind of need to find a group of players that can combine for the goal production that Haaland provides. I think Doku and Savino potentially can do that. Foden can do it. Marmoush can do it for sure. And Kovacic and Nico, I don't think are going to offer anything. Maybe O'Reilly can get going forward here and create some sort of goal-scoring opportunities. He did create 2 assists in the last game. Vardiol, you all know, is a goal threat. Good header of the ball, dangerous on set pieces, and then you're probably not going to get anything from Diaz or Kusanov. Maybe you go with Nunes because he's more attacking, and you're just looking to create scoring chances in this game, and you just assume that your backline will hold against Leicester, who haven't scored in at least 5 Premier League games as it is. So you don't know, but that's the team that I would probably look at. I think if there's a caveat, if Oscar Bob is fit, I start Oscar Bob over Daku or Savinho. I think he's our best winger, and that's what I would do. And I'm not scared to admit that. I think Bob is fantastic. I would be loved to see Oscar Bob. So that's my team. That's my preview for the game tomorrow. Hopefully we win. I'm thinking we do win. I'm going to go, since it's at home, I think 3-1. Don't think we keep a clean sheet. You know how it is. City just don't tend to do that these days. So 3-1. Marmouche with a goal. Foden with a goal. And then maybe Vardiol on a header, on a corner, something like that. So 3-1. Sure, they'll get some goal somewhere. But that is my thoughts. That's my take. I appreciate all the new subs we've gotten. We're well over 100 now. So I guess the new goal is 150, 200. So let's push towards that. So likes and comments always appreciated on these. Check out the shorts and my TikTok for more short form videos there. Anyway, thank you guys. I do appreciate it. I will be back with the recap following the Leicester game tomorrow or the next day, depending on the schedule, of course. So anyway, thank you.